It's 5:15 on 12:33. This week, you've been hearing from a range of people on how they think the Hunter Expressway will change things for the valley when it opens in March. Over the last 2 days, Paul Bevan has taken you up to Branxton, which is near the inland end of the expressway. Now, people there, as you've heard, have got mixed feelings about the effect of the fast road link. On one hand, there's a kind of excitement about the end of the notorious traffic bottlenecks on the New England Highway. But of course there's that other concern, isn't it? The anxious moments about the viability of the town once it's been bypassed. The experience elsewhere, of course, places like Goulburn, of course, is that they thrive. They go from strength to strength. The Huntlee housing development is being built near Branxton. So what will the new road mean for it? Stephen Thompson is the Huntley Project Director who joins me in the studio now. Stephen, g'day, how you going?
Good afternoon, Paul.
Good. You're a recent acquisition. You're from the west, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Plenty of land over there.
There is indeed.
So tell us about the Huntley Project, because it's about housing. It's obviously you've got infrastructure, commercial, medical centres and all of the stuff to support that. Give us some concept of the scope of the Huntley development.
Yeah, good. The Huntley Project is it's a master planned community. It provides integrated services, as you mentioned, the whole range of facilities for a town that would probably be the size of Singleton upon completion, and that means about 20,000 people. And so the services that you get in a town of that kind of scale is what you would expect to find in Huntley.
Okay, so it's a long-term project. So the fact that the coal prices are down a little bit is not going to worry you too much just at the moment.
No, there are always fluctuations in different markets, and this is a long-term vision, sort of a 20-year vision for the developers.
Okay, so just tell us about the genesis of it then. It's a 20-year plan. How far down the road are you?
Well, we've been 8 years in the planning process. We've now received all of our approvals for the first stage of development, which accounts for the first stage of the town centre, and it also accounts for about 2,200 lots, residential lots. We're about to turn soil next month. As I mentioned, we've received all of our planning and environmental approvals to allow that to occur. It has been a long process, 8 years of planning, but we're there and we're ready to go.
So is this just a private development, or is there government involvement at all, or what's the structure of it?
It is a private development. It's being project managed by LWP, which is a group out of Western Australia who are experts in this sort of large-scale development. Yeah,
because a fair bit goes into it, I'd imagine. Not
there
just
is a lot.
Turning up with the tractor and carving out a few roads. There's a fair deal of strategic planning.
That's exactly right. Yeah. As I said, 8 years of planning so far, and there's 20 years of development going forward.
Yeah. So because it's one of those things, when you're driving around the state or interstate or whatever, and you go, for God's sake, why'd they put a town here? I mean, what's this place got going for it? And it's probably someone's farm or something they decided to do something with. What was the attraction of the Branxton area for the Huntley project?
Well, one of the key points for us is the opening of the Hunter Expressway. If you look at where the Huntley town is to be located, it's right at the end of the Hunter Expressway in Branxton there. It has its own dedicated interchange, so that provides an immediate locational advantage for a town of this scale. The Lower Hunter Regional Strategy has identified this location as a major source of land supply, or much needed land supply. And if you look at how the project is structured, the Hunter Expressway fits perfectly as a major piece of state infrastructure with a major urban development. So
how long, you say 2,200 home sites in stage, this is stage one, isn't it?
Stage one, correct.
And there are how many, 4 stages?
4 stages.
Okay. So
7,500 home sites approximately upon completion, plus about 200 hectares of town centre commercial residential land.
Do you need any miraculous intervention for that to become a reality, or is that a realistic plan that's progressing as you would have hoped?
It is a realistic plan, Paul. The first stage of the town centre is expected to commence with the first stage of the housing component. There is enough catchment, if that makes sense, in the local area to sustain the first parts of the town centre to be developed concurrently with the first residential lots.
So when you mentioned you're turning a sod soon, did you say just a bit
Correct,
a while ago?
So the first parts of the mobilisation for our civil contractors is underway, and we expect them to have machines out on site in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And once all our management plans, our safety management plans and construction management plans are in place, which is what we're working on now, we can start turning dirt.
Yeah, okay. So just give us a visualisation of what sort of changes there'll be around Branxton as a result of the progress of the Huntley project.
Yeah, sure. The first part of the town centre and the residential component will involve upgrading of Wine Country Drive, where it connects onto the new Hunter Expressway interchange. That will go from a single country road as it is now to a 4-lane boulevard. We also plan to take out the dangerous bend at North Rothbury there and straighten or realign Wine Country Drive. So that'll be the most visible thing that happens in the early parts of the project, certainly during 2014. And then, of course, the first 150-odd lots are under construction as well.
Does that allay Cessnock City Council's concerns? Was that particular road, Wine Country Drive, was that their preeminent concern? They've been concerned about raised issues about traffic in the area, given, of course, and any resident of Cessnock will tell you how bad the roads are out there.
Yeah, look, the Wine Country Drive widening is an integral part of that sort of traffic plan that we have. But importantly, Huntlee is designed as a self-sustaining town. We don't envisage significant traffic generation from our development externally once the project is completed. And the reason for that is that Huntlee, as I mentioned earlier, is that integrated town. It's self-sustaining. People will have the local facilities there and be able to access those local facilities rather than having to drive further afield.
Obviously there's major infrastructure stuff, putting aside the roads and drains and sewers and all that sort of stuff. You've got to be talking schools. What about medical facilities and that sort of stuff? How far up the pyramid in terms of quality will the medical facilities be ultimately? Yeah,
it's importantly we've received a lot of inquiry from businesses, but in those businesses, you include doctors and medical centres, pharmacists. They're all very interested in Huntlee and creating. The beauty about Huntlee is that they can create a brand new facility. They're not retrofitting something; they're creating a brand new facility in a brand new town.
Yeah.
And we have received substantial interest, and it's part of our plan to provide all of those services.
So, would this have not happened without the Hunter Expressway?
Look, it's a good question. The Hunter Expressway is certainly a significant piece of infrastructure that blends perfectly with the location of Huntlee. But the plan was always to proceed with this. The Hunter Expressway may accelerate some of that development, and it coincides very well with the timing of our development as well. They're going to open in March, I understand, is the latest time frame, and we're going to be turning dirt in February. So the first residents of Huntlee will get the benefit from day one when they move in of that Hunter Expressway.
Have you sold blocks?
We have, yes. Yeah. We're selling. We'll be selling in earnest. We've had a soft marketing campaign leading up to turning the first pieces of dirt, and once we start out on site, our marketing campaign will ramp up. We've sold sort of 30 or 40 lots to date, and we anticipate selling sort of 150 by about June.
Okay, all right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and of course, people will get a fairly close look at it driving along the expressway. By the sounds of things,
they will do.
All right, nice to talk to you, Stephen. Thanks so much.
Thanks for your time, Paul.
Stephen Thompson is the Huntley Project Director. We've been getting feedback, of course, on the role that the Hunter Expressway will play in local communities where it affects, obviously by changing traffic arrangements around towns such as Branxton. Tomorrow you'll hear how Maitland and Pacolban